Welcome to the Noble Gold Podcast, where each week the latest precious metals trends and alternative investments are presented to you to help create the foundation for your financial success. Listen in as some of today's brightest entrepreneurs share how they've strategically navigated investments that have changed lives forever. It's time to bring a little wealth into your life. Here's your host, Brad Dalius.
Welcome into the Noble Gold Podcast. Joining us is the president of Noble Gold, Colin Plume, and today we're excited to be talking with Alisa Moen. Alisa is Chief Legal Counsel for Dillon Gage Metals, one of the largest global wholesalers of precious metals in the world. She's also the president of the company's International Depository Operations and a member of the executive management team. Alisa, welcome to the podcast. What has you the most excited about life right now?
Well, thank you very much. Certainly this interview is definitely top of the list. You know, the industry-wise, there's been a lot of volatility, and volatility is good for the physical market. We're living in exciting times.
And it seems like gold is in the news. How has you guys on the segregated storage side, how has business been over the last, 6-7 months? Have you seen an uptick in people looking to store and get into gold and silver?
We have, whether it's been the last 6-7 months or probably started about the turn of the year, with uncertainties in the marketplace. I think 2018 was a funky year for the equities. Overall, the year was incredibly volatile, even though it ended just about in the same place where it started. So a lot of folks are anxious about their portfolios. Physical precious metals has always been on the periphery of your typical investment portfolio, and it's not something financial advisors push, at least willingly, but people have been more and more interested in it. It's kind of it's a slow and steady. It's an incredible store of value. If you look historically, people have gravitated to physical precious metals as a natural hedge against whether be it a geopolitical risk or risk in the equities market. So we've seen both on the trading side and certainly on the storage side, increased interest from different demographics. Some folks who we, otherwise haven't met or haven't touched.
Noble Gold has always worked with you and IDS, and, we launched the Texas Depository a few years ago, which obviously everyone was really excited about. One of the reasons we've always used IDS is segregated storage is what you guys focus on, and maybe you can talk about that and give people some insight into the industry and how, not everybody does it that way, and why we've always kind of partnered with IDS on storage.
Sure. You really hit the nail on the head in kind of thinking through what you guys might ask me or what I may want to talk about. One of the storage components that's really near and dear to my heart and to our business philosophy is the segregation of the holdings. It's commonplace in the market that folks, depositories, offer both commingled option and a segregated option. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of education in the community, in the marketplace, as to what those two things mean. Investors come kind of ready to invest in physical metal, and when they think about logistics, it's one of those things that goes by the wayside, and they don't necessarily understand the importance of segregation of their physical holdings. Consumers are very price sensitive, so, whether it's a difference of a couple of basis points or, $25, $50, whatever it may be, we find that people who don't know the difference gravitate to commingle simply because it's cheaper. And unfortunately, that's really, when you're trying to protect your investment, that's really not the way to go. What segregation means, and at IDS Group, and IDS Group is comprised of Delaware facility, we have a facility in Canada, and we have, as you mentioned, a facility in Dallas that Noble Gold was the first one to hit the market with that location. We truly believe that in order to provide the best service to our customers, we have to give them the assurance that the metal that is sent into the depository and is deposited into your account for safekeeping is precisely the same coins and bars that you will receive when and if you would like to recall it and ship it to your house or ship it wherever. The point is that your metal will sit physically segregated from anybody else's, any other customer's account and metal. It will not be on the same shelf. It will not be in the same tubes. If coins are being stored together, it is actually physically contained in your own vault location, just for your benefit. And to me, it's critical. If I were investing, and I am an investor in physical metals, I want that assurance. I want to make sure that what I send into the depository is precisely what I get back. to give you, a distinction, when somebody stores in a commingled account, let's say, Colin, you and I have a commingled account at a particular depository. You send 10 Maple Leafs or 10 Gold Eagles, and I send 5 or 10. They are stored together. I don't know you, Colin, at all. I've never met you. I simply happen to be storing in a commingled account with, maybe 5, 10, or 100 other individuals. I don't necessarily know where they purchased their metal. I know that I did my homework, and I made sure my sources are, as transparent as possible, and I buy from a reputable dealer like Noble. But I have no assurance, nor do I know who other account holders are. And yet when I call that particular depository and say, hey, I would like my Eagles or my Maple Leafs back, they just take off, from the stack of coins and they ship them back to me. That's not my metal. That is metal that's been commingled and, God forbid, contaminated with other people's metals. And then I'm relying on somebody else's good judgment to make sure they do their homework and where they source their metal. And to me, that's the last thing you want to worry about when you deal with a depository.
Absolutely. And the idea is
I apologize.
No,
critical.
It's a great answer. And I think that's exactly why we've always done segregated storage and we work with IDS is because of that particular answer. And, I think the part of the reason someone gets into physical metals is they want that ultimate safety. And if you're going to get into the ultimate safety, you want to know that when you made the right decision, and gold, and look at silver up, over 30% this year. You want to know that when you make the right decision that you're going to profit from it and you're going to get the metals back that you purchased. And I think that's, a really smart way to do it is, it's penny wise and pound foolish is to look at your options. And as you said, a lot of people don't know the differences. And I think your explanation will really help a lot of people that don't see that discrepancy because maybe they just see, oh, I'm paying $20 more, but they don't really see how important that is. And I think that's what people need to understand when they make such an investment into something. Also, in regards to that, just in terms of safety, I was going to ask Elise. People call us about safety deposit boxes, and I know we've talked about this before, but maybe you could give me your sort of 2 cents on safety deposit boxes as opposed to segregated, and maybe some of the pros and cons that you see in that option.
Sure, happy to do that. So safety deposits, my understanding is that back in about 2014, 2015, there were a number of banking regulations that were promulgated that resulted in a lot of customers who would store their physical precious metals inside the safety deposit box were required to empty them out. Banks do not insure. You don't have ready access to a safety deposit box, and if the bank is closed, the bank is closed. You don't get accurate reporting or auditing. It really, you rely on kind of the back of the napkin of what you have there. When you don't have ready access to your holdings, means, in that minute that you do decide to liquidate, you're going to have to do quite a bit of diligence and work in order to get your metals out, then transport them or ship them wherever you determine the best way to liquidate that metal. And that creates a lot of complexity. And unfortunately, when we deal with metals, complexity often results in added risk. So one, everybody needs to do their own research and speak to their own banks. And maybe regional and smaller banks would be different than, say, the Big Ten. They may have different rules about storing precious metals, but a lot of banks shy away from it. So one, you simply may not be able to do that. Two is home storage. That I really don't recommend. Is it good to have, a small stash for emergency purposes at home? Certainly. And whatever that value is really depends on your comfort level. But it's not safe. You need to declare it on your homeowner's insurance, and you need to be careful with it, and you need to keep it in a safe. And oftentimes folks are just not equipped with that. And then if you do commit to investing in precious metals, you're going to start accumulating. And once you accumulate, you are bound to go beyond the threshold of where your comfort level is of how much you really want to store at home. It's just simply, then it becomes a question of personal safety. Forget about, the integrity and the safety of the metal. Then it becomes about your family's safety, which is really why a private storage facility that is vetted, that is insured, that is segregated, is really, to me, the best choice.
Yeah, no, and listen, we talk to clients that store metals at home, and we have a lot of clients that store at home, and I think they understand the risk. But there's also a comfort level too of, having, that liquid wealth there, if they have to leave or flee, that they have it, they don't have to contact anyone. So I think, obviously ultimate safety, you guys have it. I've been to the facilities, security is top notch, and I think someone can rest easy. And we have a lot of clients that travel, they're retired. And if you're going to be traveling, you're not home a lot, obviously leaving, a nice amount of precious metals in your home is not a great idea. So that, that makes a lot of sense. And in terms of home storage IRAs, it's been a hot topic the last 5 years. And the IRS has come out and said that they are not comfortable with it. And I think they're starting to investigate it more and more. From you, obviously you're a lawyer, you've looked into this. What's your take on, doing a home storage IRA account for precious metals?
I'm certainly not going to, provide legal advice on the issue. Suffice it to say that, but suffice it to say that when your IRA investment is involved, and this is specifically dollars designated for a retirement portfolio, IRS is very strict about the rules as to how that asset, and it could be metal, it could be lots of other things, is to be safeguarded, particularly that it doesn't cross the threshold of being a distribution. Meaning there needs to be a third party between you and your retirement funds or your retirement investment. In the instance of an IRA trustee, IRA trustees typically contract with secure storage facilities such as IDS Group, and we provide that service for them. They, and I'm talking about IRA trustees, uniformly believe that home storage really crosses the threshold of personal distribution, which can have all sorts of unpleasant tax consequences. So, it's one of those things. How much risk are you willing to take on? Is this really worth that risk to you to be embroiled in a tax dispute with the IRS? This is your retirement. This is your nest egg. Do you really want to put that at risk? And, I think if you're you have to be a reasonable, commonsensical person in order to start investing in physical precious metals, understanding that that's a good store of value. And taking on that risk seems just counterintuitive to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you gave a great explanation. And obviously everyone has to do their own due diligence on it. But it does seem to go into a gray area that I think most people, if they have enough money, then they're protecting their precious metals. They don't want to be under scrutiny from the IRS. That's counterintuitive. That the reason you saved money is because you wanted your investment to grow and compound. That's the beauty behind it. And then if something were to happen and then you had a big tax liability for, if it was considered a distribution, let's say, it could wipe away, all of that hard work and gains, which obviously nobody wants to deal with. So that's, obviously a scary situation, and nobody wants to be in the crosshairs of the IRS.
To your point on that gray area, as counsel, I always counsel my clients to stay away from the gray area. They are exactly. True and proven ways of safeguarding your IRA portfolios. Why not just follow the rules?
Sure, absolutely. And, on another kind of to move from, talking about this and into something new that you guys have offered is storage for cryptocurrency. And maybe you can kind of tell me about how that started and how you guys, started to realize that this is something that you wanted to be a part of, and kind of explanation on that, how that came about.
Sure. Well, as IDS Group, we're a newer market player. We're certainly experienced and have been around for over a decade, but we pride ourselves in being responsive to the market needs. And when we start receiving phone calls, first on maybe monthly basis, then a weekly basis, then we attend industry conferences, and there's clear interest in crypto. And we're already equipped to provide safe and secure storage for inventory, be it a set to contain box that may contain, grandma's jewelry, or a physical device containing cryptocurrency. We are well equipped to add that to our array of services. It was just a really natural transition. It was one of those that the clients, our existing clients and new clients, approached us and asked for it, and we provided the service.
Was there any hesitation getting into this with, you guys have been storing cryptos for a few years now. Was there any concern about where the market's going to go with cryptos, or, it's a new animal, and obviously you're looking at not storing something, there's a code and then it's on a device. was there any concerns about that, kind of in the future?
There were. And, we first step was to really educate ourselves as to what this animal is. What is it that this asset that folks are asking us to store? Once we've spoken with folks in the industry, reviewed the protocols, agreed on rules and procedures that are going to apply to these devices, making sure we do not have access to the device. We do not have necessarily the access codes that are required to access the currency that may reside on a particular device. We were comfortable to offer the service. It depends on what your counterparty is comfortable with, and then you simply go to the drawing table and you outline who's going to do what and outline the procedures and protocols that clients are comfortable with and that we can provide. It was more of a dialogue as opposed to us imposing certain rules on customers.
Absolutely. And, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I don't know if you saw in the news today, but there was $1 billion of Bitcoin that was transferred from one place to another. Was IDS involved in that transaction?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that, even if I knew. I am not aware. I did not read the article. I've been asleep most of the day, so I'm sorry, I can't really shed any light on that. And in any event, one thing we value just as nearly and dear to our heart as segregation of assets, it's our clients' security and confidentiality. So we never disclose our clients' names or holdings. You visited the vault, you know that everything within the vault is done by vault location, and you'll never see an account number or a individual's name or a company's name that may be storing. So I wouldn't be able to comment on that even if I knew.
Absolutely. So it's not a no. No, I'm just joking with you. No, that was just something that came across my desk that I thought was interesting to mention today. Yeah, I think obviously the relationship with Noble Gold and IDS has been one that we really cherish, and obviously we continue to grow and learn and get educated. And is there anything in the future that you see, Elise, that's happening, or anything that on the horizon that we should be, people listening to this should be aware of?
In terms of storage or just the metal market in general?
I think the metals market in general.
I'm curious to see how this volatility is going to play out in terms of folks reallocating and making their decisions in terms of risk factors and who's going to own, who's going to decide to own what precious metal to put within their portfolio. It's interesting. I firmly believe that, gold and silver has been undervalued for some time, and there are a variety of reasons for that. So, it's hard to read the tea leaves on this one. I mean, the economic and the uncertainty, changes tweet to tweet. So.
Absolutely. Well, it's been definitely enlightening for me and always a pleasure to talk to you. And it's been a while since we've been able to catch up and talk about what's been happening in the markets. And we, really appreciate your time. And obviously we, refer clients over to you guys, but if anybody needs to find you guys are online, IDS, they can look you guys up, or they can give us a call and we can send you the contact information. And we just continue to really appreciate our relationship and the way that you guys take care of our clients. We really know that they're taken care of and that their metals are safe, and that gives us a lot of peace of mind. And we just want to say thank you for that.
It's truly our pleasure. This is what we're in the business to do. We're in the business of logistics and storing and shipping worldwide, and we're just thrilled to have a great business partner like yourselves. And thank you for, carrying our names, because advertising a physical precious metals depository is not an easy task.
Sure.
We welcome referrals. We are responsive to folks who call us and want to get more information. And, I'm blessed to have a really phenomenal team, both in Delaware and in Texas, as well as in Toronto. They'll take the time and they'll really educate the folks about, even if we may not end up being the depository of choice, we'll tell you what to look for, what kind of questions to ask, because an educated consumer is a good consumer, and it's good for the marketplace.
Absolutely. Education is the key. And we really appreciate, I know you're busy in New York at the conference, and we really appreciate you taking the time, and looking forward to more business together and obviously growing each other's businesses over time. So thanks again, Elise.
It's my pleasure. Thank
you, Elise.
Bye-bye, guys.
That's all for this episode of the Noble Gold Podcast. Keep building financial success between episodes by visiting noblegoldinvestments.com.